What is up, my fellow gamers? In today's video, we got our best gear guide for Star Savior. Most players are building their gear completely wrong in Star Savior, and it's the reason your damage probably feels terrible. But in this video, we're going to show you exactly how to build your gear the right way to get stronger. It's going to be a full beginner-friendly gear guide, but I'm also going to show some advanced tips as well that most players don't know. So make sure you watch until the end. So let's go ahead and let's jump into this. All right, so first we're going to go over how gear works. You have different gear slots. You have your weapon, your armor, and your accessories. The accessories would be something like your necklace and also your ring. Now, each piece of gear is going to have a main stat and also substats. The main stat is fixed for certain pieces of gear, meaning you cannot get a different type of main stat. So for all of the weapons, the main stat is always going to be attack. For the gloves, the main stat's always going to be HP. For your armor, it's always going to be defense. And for the boots, it's always going to be speed. The accessories has the exception, and that is where you can get different rolls, and you can also get percentage rolls for your main stat, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Gear also comes in different rarities. You can have your greens, which is your uncommons, your blues, which is like your rares, your purples, which are your epics, and then the gold is your legendaries. This is the highest tier, and it is pretty much the best out of all the gear. However, it is important to note that just because you have a legendary piece of gear doesn't mean that it is always better than, let's say, an epic piece of gear, because you could have a legendary with really bad stats, and you could have an epic gear with really good stats and percentage rolls for your substats. So don't always just immediately equip a legendary piece of gear. Make sure you are checking to see the epic piece of gear that you may have, especially early on as a new player, because if you put the wrong gear on certain characters, it can actually really affect it. Put a bunch of like defense gear on one of your attackers, or gear that has attack percentages on your defenders or your tanks, that a lot of new players will make, is just throwing gear on without actually checking. They'll just click auto equipped because they don't want to actually look at the stats. Now, early game, the best stats to look out for are going to be attack percentage, anything that is just going to increase the amount of damage you can do early on. You don't really need to be too picky early game, because there are two different tiers of gear as well. So you can see right here in this top right corner, it says T2. T2 gear is going to be way better than T1 gear. T1 gear is going to be represented right here. It's going to say T1. And then the super duper low rarity gear, they don't even have a tier. They just say nothing. Now, once you get a little bit deeper into the game and you're in that like mid game area, then you're going to want to start looking out for crit rate, crit damage, anything that is going to really scale with your character a lot better. So for this instance, I got some really good T1 gloves right here, where we're getting crit rate percentage, crit damage percentage. We also got speed too as well, which helps out. And this is on Lacey, my big damage dealer. We also have effect hit percentage, which isn't horrible, but it would be nice if that effect hit was actually an attack percentage. Then that would have been an insane piece of gear right here with the substats. If we take a look at this tier 2 weapon I have, we got attack percentage as a substat. We also got speed and crit damage. So this is a really good piece of gear for the mid game, which is what I'm around. The other thing with gear is they have different sets, and you can get set bonuses by going ahead and equipping that set and filling it out. So this is the precision set. Right now you can see it says we have 1 of 4. So if I have 4 pieces of gear that have that little emblem, the precision set, I will get that bonus. Do not worry about set bonuses as a new player in the beginning, early game. Even in the mid game, you really don't need to worry about the sets. Just focus more on the specific stats and matching them up with the characters. The set bonuses come into play like way in the end game. So you don't really need to like be trying to have the perfect piece of gear. or just yet, right? Like wait until you get way deeper into the game, and then you can kind of start worrying about that. If we head on over to the Candle Square area, and then we go to the Hunt Quest, this is where we get our different pieces of gear, and there's different gear sets that drop in the different areas. And one of the biggest mistakes that players make with the gear is going ahead and enhancing, aka upgrading really bad gear. And it is expensive to go ahead and upgrade this gear. You really don't want to be coming in here and upgrading, I would say, T1 gear. I wouldn't even waste enhancement materials, your gold, or your resources upgrading any T1. I would strictly only upgrade T2, and if possible, T2 legendary gear at that. And then you would want to also make sure it actually has really good substats and it matches everything appropriately. Enhancing gear is really not super duper needed early game, or mid game is where it's like starts to be a little iffy until you fully unlock T2 gear, which I'll go over how to unlock tier 2 gear in a second. Don't worry about upgrading your gear. That's just going to waste a ton of resources. And gold is very, very valuable in this game. When we are upgrading our gear, every time you reach increments of 3 levels, you will either enhance one of your substats or unlock a new substat if you don't have one already unlocked. This is why the legendary gear is best, because legendary gear typically comes with all of the substats already unlocked. So that way you can see what they are. You can see if that piece of gear is worth upgrading. When you get stuff that is like this, where it is a purple epic, we do not know what this last substat is. So we can see that these ones may be really good. So we got to upgrade this to level 3 to see what this substat is. And it could be a really bad substat, and it could completely ruin this piece of gear, making it really bad compared to the legendaries where, okay, we know what the 4 substats are, and we know whether we want to invest our materials to upgrade this or not. Now, how can you get that tier 2 gear? There's a couple different ways. The first way that everyone is going to have access to it is in the Apocalypse shop. You may have noticed it already if you were in the daily offers. You will get, I believe it's like 2 pieces that will pop up every day, and it'll show you like tier 2 gear. And it's definitely worth buying if it is good. It is very expensive, and also make sure it is discounted as well, because you don't want to be spending 300,000 gold on a piece of gear. You will burn through your gold so fast, and then you won't have any left to like upgrade your characters or anything like that. So before you actually click to purchase, make sure it is tier 2, make sure it is gold. If it's a tier 2 purple, that's a little bit iffy about wasting your gold. That's if like you really, really feel desperate and you need it. Otherwise, strictly try and save your purchases to tier 2 gold. Click on the actual item too before you buy it, and it will show you what the main stat is. This is important if it is an accessory, because like you said, the accessories can show up as different main stats, whereas the other ones like the gloves, they're always going to have that HP main stat. So this isn't going to change. The random substats that you get, you really don't have any control over it. So you can kind of look at the set bonus as well if you want. If it's something that you see as a good set bonus, then that's worth buying as well. The main way to get the tier 2 gear is going to be once you go through the operation area and you clear chapter 14 of the operation, you will then unlock the ability to farm T2 gear in the Hunt Quest. So if we head on over to the Hunt Quest, it's actually stage 7 right here. This is where you start to get T2 gear as a possible drop. So that is going to be very, very important to note. So we got still a little bit of a ways. And also the other thing to mention is in order to clear chapter 14 and get into this like tier 2 farming gear, you're going to have your team at around like 75,000 power, 80,000 power. So you got a little bit of ways to go before you get there, depending on if you're free to play friendly, if you're spending money. I'm free to play. I haven't spent any money in this game, so I'm just kind of trucking along at my own pace. And the other way is if we go over to the captain's office and we craft gear, you can actually go ahead and the craft shop area, you can use your T1 materials. Now you can see we don't have it because our craft shop's not leveled up yet, but once we get deeper into it, we'll unlock it and we'll have it unlocked. What you're doing is you are using this crafting material to then go ahead and craft that piece of gear. But for T2, you can use your T1 materials and you can upgrade them to T2 grade materials, so then you can use them to go ahead and craft. So I wouldn't even waste my T1 materials crafting. So I would save all these up, hoard all of your T1 gear piece crafting materials along with the stuff in your storage as well. So right here is the tier 1 gear material box. So this one, you would save this, and then this will give you the T1 materials, and then you will just go ahead and upgrade those into tier 2 gear materials to craft the tier 2 gear. And that is it. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed the video. Stay happy, stay safe. I'll see you later. Peace.